How does this sound make you feel? And how about this one? And how about, whoa. Video game audio is the secret sauce that can turn a great game and make it an iconic one. Whether it's the music, the voice acting, or just those crispy little sound effects in the menu, sound design is a critical piece of the puzzle. And I wanted to highlight some of the most satisfying or devastating pieces of audio I've heard since I first became a baby gamer all those years ago. Over the past year or so, I found myself listening to more and more video game audio when I'm working or trying to concentrate on something. Partially because it keeps the voices at bay, but mostly because it takes my goblin brain into that sweet, soothing, nostalgic place where life is a little more simple. Video games, by design, have a knack of taking you out of your world and transporting you to somewhere completely different. Whether that's crushing turrets in Super Mario perchance, or making sure counter-terrorists win in Counter-Strike. A huge part of that experience is the audio. Let's start with some music, shall we?
You like Metal Gear?
They're okay.
If hearing this music now does nothing for you, I don't know what to tell you, but you might not have a soul. Metal Gear Solid is one of my all-time favourite games, and a large part of that was down to how cool the music was. Seeing Solid Snake swim through the water to Shadow Moses Island in his scuba suit while hearing this track for the first time was absolutely amazing to me. I didn't even own Metal Gear Solid at the time, and the only experience I had was from the PlayStation 1's Euro Demo Disc 42 from 1998. The demo let you play all the way until, spoiler alert, the DARPA chief dies in his cell, and then you get smacked in the face with this.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
I basically wore this demo disc out, so the action and the music from these opening segments still stick with me today. The same goes for the pretty chilled out menu music, which gets interrupted by the insanely aggressive gunshot sound whenever you click on anything. Even if you just click options and you just want to check out the audio settings, you get thumped in the pants by this gunshot. And I can't talk about Metal Gear Solid without talking about this sound. I can't think of many more iconic sounds in gaming than that one. That sound meant that you fucked up and you would spend the next kind of 30 seconds or so awkwardly and frantically trying to figure out who saw you, which direction they were in, and trying to awkwardly point your snake towards them so you could shoot them. These experiences can't be separated from what made that game so great, and that's a recurring theme in this video. Going back to the beginning though, two of my earliest loves for video game music came from Streets of Rage and The Revenge of Shinobi. These games set obscenely high standards for music in my early years. Streets of Rage kicks off with the sickest track and beat and sets the scene for the franchise. It has no business being this tough. The character select screen music would continue throughout each game with slight variations in each iteration, and each stage had music that fit the setting perfectly. And damn, whenever you heard the boss music hit, you kinda knew you were fucked. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like not enough people talk about The Revenge of Shinobi with the respect that it deserves. Maybe it was the difficulty, the knockoff Spider-Man and Batman bosses, or maybe it was the Terminator that gradually turned into the Hulk for some reason, but oh my god, how sick is this intro? Also, who knew that the hardest bassline of all time would live in a ninja game from 1989 on the Genesis or Mega Drive, wherever the hell you are? And while we're at it, can someone in the comments give me one valid reason why whenever you killed an enemy in this game, they literally exploded? Like even the dogs exploded. These two games kicked off my love for video game music from a pretty early age, and maybe it's just nostalgia kicking in, but the next few years would begin a bit of a golden age. Like how about the time you first booted up your brand new Nintendo Game Boy Switch DS Color to play some Pokemon Yellow, only to realise the first gym leader you fight is frickin' who exclusively used rock-type Pokemon, which meant that your Pikachu was absolutely useless. But this was all made better by the fact you got to listen to this song while you decided if you wanted to train up a Caterpie for 2 hours, or if you'd rather train your Pikachu into oblivion so you can quick attack Brock's Onix to death. I suppose the better option there was catching a Nidoran. Either way, you'd better get used to hearing this music a hell of a lot. And on the subject of battle music, how can I talk about Pokemon without talking about Final Fantasy? And yeah, I know I've not shown any of the popular Final Fantasies because, unpopular opinion alert, my favourite one was Final Fantasy VIII. But that was basically because I grew up wanting to be Squall. Even if, after a while, you realise he's a bit of a dick. Jumping back to Nintendo, how about kicking off some Super Mario World and hearing this song? The soundtrack to about 1,000 Saturday mornings for me when I was growing up. And a side note, have you played these games recently? Holy hell, they are hard. My friend has an arcade cabinet in his shop, and we played this a few months back, and I genuinely don't think I made it past the first level. That's probably why this song stands out so specifically to me. Staying with Nintendo, and this time the N64, and the hardest pause music of all time, which was memed to death over the last couple of years. GoldenEye in particular is guilty of producing banger after banger after banger, alongside one of the best sounding silenced pistols of all time. Skip to 2011 and the release of Dark Souls. Now this game featured a lot of great tracks, with a big shout out to the Firelink Shrine music, but I actually wanted to talk about the music from the final boss battle, Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. This song kinda comes from nowhere and feels like nothing else in the game. Gwyn's lore runs deep, and I'd highly recommend you read into it or check out one of the awesome YouTube videos there are on Dark Souls lore. But you play the whole game knowing you'll fight a super powerful big bad, the Lord of Sunlight. But when you finally face him, all that's left is a husk of a man protecting the last vestige of a world he can't let go of. Fun fact, the whole song is played on only the white keys of a piano. Pretty interesting for the Lord of Sunlight, right? Another epic RPG that launched in 2011 was Skyrim, where we'd get slapped directly in the eardrums by Jeremy Soul's Secunda, the song that launched 1,000 memes. Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate how awesome it is that we got Dark Souls and Skyrim in the same year? I feel like I blanked that out. Skyrim was a masterpiece and the music throughout it was just phenomenal. It continued to show that video game music was comparable to any other medium, and just 2 years later, we'd receive a groundbreaking game that would inspire a TV show that would win 92 awards and 8 primetime Emmys. The Last of Us. This song isn't only instantly recognisable to gamers and Pedro Pascal fans across the world, but it's transcended the gaming zeitgeist into popular culture. That's no mean feat. Speaking of popular culture, let's head back a few years to 2002. Put down your Yu-Gi-Oh cards, turn off Nickelback, and stop thirsting over Tobey Maguire's muscles in Spider-Man, because GTA Vice City just dropped, yeah it's that old, and launches with one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time. This soundtrack introduced a generation of young adults and kids who probably shouldn't have been playing the game anyway, but let's not get into it. To songs from Mr. Mister, Hall & Oates, Blondie, Toto, A Flock of Seagulls, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and Wang Chung. Because of this game, the bands and artists on this soundtrack are still part of my regular rotation today. And on that same thread, the same can be said for any of the soundtracks for pretty much any one of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, introducing kids to Ramones, CKY, Papa Roach, Motorhead, Deftones, Flogging Molly, AC/DC, so many awesome artists. The same goes for Dave Mirra's Freestyle BMX in the SSX series. And also BMX XXX, which will go down as one of the games that came out in 2002. But it's not all pop, punk, pop, and Funko Pops. Video games can do spooky pretty well too.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. No, not you. No, yeah, that's the, okay. Resident Evil has been home to some amazing music that sometimes falls more on the hokey side of horror, but is nonetheless super memorable. The Raccoon City Police Department Main Hall is one of my favourite songs that I have on my instrumental game music playlists, but they also gifted us the recurring themes from their save rooms. They were also really comforting too, because it was one of the few times where you're actually safe and not fighting some of the monstrosities that were lurking around outside. Especially if, like me, you have no ammo or health items and are limping around for most of the game. But the gold standard for spooky music in gaming, for me, is the Silent Hill series. The music and ambience in these games is perfect. I remember playing these games when I was way younger than the label on the box, and they were so overwhelming and so scary to me, they actually used to make me nauseous, and I had to go to bed to lie down. I'd then leave my dad to tackle the bosses before creeping back downstairs and peering into the living room from the doorway to watch the fights. Yeah, that's right. Silent Hill gave me a tummy ache. So what? Silent Hill also featured an in-game item that fed into this nauseating vibe. The radio. The radio in Silent Hill served as an early warning sign for approaching enemies, and walking into a new room and hearing this sound was pretty harrowing. Especially if it turned out to be a new enemy and you have no health items or ammo. But what was infinitely worse was moving into a new room and seeing and hearing this shit. Like, what? The Silent Hill series is a masterclass in sound design and music, and sometimes the absence of music. This even extends to the menu sound effects, and it's crazy how even just hearing some of the UI sounds can teleport you back in time. I think it speaks volumes to the quality of a game's sound design when even just navigating a game's menus can hit you with some of that ooey gooey serotonin. I'm adding a disclaimer here because I'm about to hit you with a whole mess of video game death sounds, and those of you of a sensitive disposition may be about to make a poopy in your pants. These are the sounds you heard when you were killed to death by murder.
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
They all alert you to the fact that you done goofed, and many of these still evoke some pretty strong feelings within me. Classic feelings such as sadness, pain, rage, and poopy. But don't worry, for every bad sound, there is an opposite, there is a good one. And every time you suffered the heartbreak of failure was made better by hearing one of these sounds. Every one of these sounds meant that you just achieved something great, whether that's completing a level you were stuck on, gaining an extra life, getting a life. There's no sound for that. Killing a boss, leveling up your character, hitting that perfect backstab, running out of ammo with an M1 Garand. Okay, I know this isn't necessarily a big achievement or whatever, but this is one of the most satisfying noises in gaming, and I couldn't leave it out. I don't even know if this weapon is any good in most games, but you can bet your ass that if I see one, I'm picking it up and I'm emptying that clip. There are probably another 100 games that I could have included in this video, and even while editing it, I realised how much I'd missed out. I think that's a testament to how important audio is in games and how easy it can be to take it for granted. Graphics are obvious and gameplay is king, but I guess the real treasure is the sounds you hear along the way. I'm kidding, I'm not going to end the video like that.
It was a joke, Mark. I was joking. It was a Christmas joke.
This is my first upload like this on this channel, so thank you so much for watching it this far. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like or subscribe would be awesome. But I would also love to make another video like this as well, so if you have any suggestions or awesome games that I've definitely missed out that had the coolest audio, please leave it in the comments below. I would love to make another one like this. Bye!